Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Gananam Tva Ganapati Gum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamattravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anasranvan Otibhit Sedasadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhinama Vitrayavato Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sumukascha Yekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketur Ganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Yasyadvirada Vaktradhyah Parishadhyah Parasatam Vignam Nighnanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsa Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. Sarvo Paplava Rahitaha Prajnana Ghanaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivaham Asmi. Om Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtam Shaktim Cha Tat Putra Parasaram Cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Sishyam Sri Sankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadam Cha Hasta Malakam Cha Sishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakara Manyanas Madgurun Santata Manatosmi Sruti Smruti Purana Namalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Isvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. With Swami's blessings and Shankara Bhagavad Pada's blessings, let us continue where we left off last time. We covered slokam number 19. Yogaratova Bhogaratova Sangaratova Sanga Vihinaha Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam Nandati 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 Eva. Okay. Now, going to the next slokam. So this would be Nityananda. Next one is by Anandagiri. Anandagiri. Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Dhita Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita Sakrutapi Yena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamena Na Charcha. Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Dhita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Sagrutapi Yena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamena Na Charcha. Padangal are Bhagavad Gita Kinchit Adhita Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita Sakrut Api Yena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamena Na Charcha. Bhagavad Gita Kinchit Adhita. Kinchit, even a little. Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, Adhita, studied. Studied is not the right word. Adhyayanam is to practice the teaching. Even a little bit of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita one who has practiced it. Adhita, that's what it means. Okay? Ganga, Jala, Lava, Kanika, Pita. And Kanika means a very small amount, a small, tiny, that's what it means. And Lava is a part of. Ganga Jalam, that means even a small part of Ganga Jalam, Pita, one who drinks, one who sips. Sakrit api, even at least once, Yena, who, Murari Samarcha. And Murari is Bhagavan, because Krishna Bhagavan, Mahavishnu, Muraha Hari, Murasya Harihi Murari. Murasya is it denotes a demon and a Rakshasan, and this is nothing but our ego, one who destroys our ego. Okay, that is Murari, that is Govinda, Bhaja Govindam, say Govinda. Samarcha means to think about him, to reflect on him, and to worship him. That Murari Samarcha, Yena Murari Samarcha Sakrutapi, by whom or who worships Murari even at least once, and Kriyate means by when this is done, the worship is done by him even at least once. Sathya, to him. What happens to him? Yemena, with Yama, na charcha. Yama, the god of death, we call him, right? Na charcha, there is no argument, there is no discussion, there is no quarrel. This means Bhagavad Gita kinchit adhita. Then one who studies at least a little bit of Bhagavad Gita, which means what? At least one slokam, even one part of one slokam, doesn't matter. Okay? As Bhagavan says, Manmana bhava madbhakto matyagi mam namaskuru mame veshati satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Even that full slokam we don't have to learn. We say Manmana bhava, think of me in your mind, just a little bit of that. Or Sarvadharman pratyajya mamekam sharanam braja. That, okay, sharanam, Swami, I surrender to you. Just even a little bit, very slightest amount, because every word in Bhagavad Gita is nectar. Just like you take, go to the ocean and pick any part, even the tiniest amount of drop of ocean water will taste salty. It's like that. Every part of, every amsam, every aspect and every single padam of Bhagavad Gita is full of nectar only. So, adhika, take that, understand its meaning with clarity, and then put it into practice. That is very important. One who practices at least a kinchit, even the slightest amount, just a little bit of Bhagavad Gita's teachings in practice. One who practices even a little amount of Bhagavad Gita's teaching, number one. Number two, Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita. One who sips even the tiniest amount of Ganga Jalam. Now, this immediately our mind goes to Ganga, in the river, and we say, okay, I do Ganga Snanam, I then take a little bit of that water and sipped it, right? That is one way to look at it. But the actual meaning is, as Swami Chinmayananda so beautifully and eloquently explains this, is Ganga is something that never dries up. It was the tears of Brahma that washed the lotus feet of Bhagavan in the Trivikrama Avataram, when the second step manifested itself in Sathya Logam, and Brahma tears of yearning and pining for Bhagavan, that Ananda Kanir, and that washed Bhagavan's lotus feet, and that is what has come to us as Ganga, with so much force, the spiritual knowledge from the rishis, the thing that came as Purusha Suktam, to be very frank, that is a Ganga. And that power of that, the force of that, could not be taken just like that. It had to be slowed down, and it has to be controlled. And just like a huge waterfall, if you go and like a Niagara Falls, you go and stand underneath that, what happens to you? Whereas if it is controlled, then you can take a nice bath in it, right? It's like that. That is why Paramasivan took it on his matted locks and let it in small streams. And what is this small streams? Physically, we know it is a Ganga river, right? But spiritually, it is a spiritual knowledge, the torrent of the force with which this selfless love that is flowing through the Vedas and the scriptural knowledge. Even if a little bit of that jala lava kanika, even the tiniest amount, if I take that spiritual knowledge and I sip it, which means what? If I take it in and if I imbibe it, if I imbibe even the tiniest amount of the spiritual knowledge that is flowing like Ganga, and practice even the slightest amount, just one or two teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and then third, what do I do? Sakrit api, at least once, not even more than once required. Since once, we say in bhajans and all that, Satakoti Pranam, Koti Pranam, Satakoti Pranam and all that. I always wonder about it. Because if you just Koti Pranam means, it is 10 million. 10 million times you have to do Namaskarams to Bhagavan. How is it possible? Then Satakoti means even 100 times that. So 100 million times, 1,000 times, which becomes 1 billion times. I cannot even, at my physical condition, to do 4 Namaskarams being an Iyengar is very difficult. So how can we do 1 billion Namaskarams to Bhagavan? This is a promise we make. I will do Koti, I will do this, I will do that. Is it possible physically? No, it is not possible. So Bhagavan himself has come back and said, you don't have to do many Namaskarams to me. Just once. One Namaskaram is enough. That's what he says. Same way, Sakrutapi, just once. What do I have to do? Murari Samarcha. I worship Bhagavan just once. Just once. Worship means not the regular puja and all we do going to the temple. No. Once, just once in our lifetime, with our heart, with our mind completely surrendered to Him, without any worries, without any desires, without any agitations, without any, Bhagavan, you are the one, and just hold on to Him just once. If you do that, okay, yena, by whom these are all done, these three things are done. Kriyate means to do the namaskar, to do that worship at least once. Samarcha kriyate, okay. Tasya, for him, yemena na charcha. There is no discussion, no quarrel, no discussion or dialogue with the god of death. That means what? He does not die. He becomes one with Bhagavan. So the death comes at his beckoning and call. The death does not come and call on him. He calls on death. He decides when to disappear, when to appear, becomes one with Bhagavan. So the three things are Bhagavad Gita, Kinchit Adhita, Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita, Sakrutapi Yena Murari Samarcha, Kriyate Tasya Yemena Na Charcha. So these three are very important. That is by Drida Bhaktar. Drida Bhaktar is the disciple who has given this teaching to us. Yoga Ratova, the previous one was by Anandagiri. Okay, now Nityanadar. Slokam number 21. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatare Shayanam, Iha Samsare Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatare Shayanam, Iha Samsare Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Padangal, Punaha Api Jananam, Punaha Api Maranam, Punaha Api Janani Jatare Shayanam, Iha Samsare Bahudustare, Kripaya Apare, Pahi Murare. Punaha Api, once again, Jananam, birth. Punaha Api maranam, once again, death. They repeat themselves. The birth comes, followed by death, followed by birth, followed by death. Like that goes on. Punaha api janani jatare shayanam. Punaha api, again, once again, janani jatare, in the womb of the mother. In the womb of the mother. Shayanam, lying down. That means we are taking shape, prepared to be born, right? We're lying down in mother's womb, taking birth again. Here, samsare, this samsaram, this bonded, agitated life that has appearances and disappearances, birth and death, attachments and detachments, attractions and repulsions, so many things, that's going on all the time. This samsaram, as we saw earlier probably, I'm not sure whether we did that, is not just only the married life. It's our life, right? The time and the way all our anubhavangal, our experiences, from the moment we take birth, to the time we die, and our experiences in this world, all this agitated experience, that's samsaram. We are all bonded, absolutely not free. And this samsaram, bahu dustare, very difficult, very, very difficult. Dustara means very, bahu means very, dustara means very difficult, very hard to cross over, to go beyond. We are caught in this. And not only that, apare, it has no end. It is not only very difficult to cross over, it's like an ocean, if you see, that is so full of waves and so many sharks. And we saw in the prayer slokam for Bhagavad Gita, right? And it's like that, with the sharks and whales and whirlpools and so many things. We are caught in this. Not only that, there's no end to it. You don't see even an end to this. So that is aparam. So kripaya pahi murare. Kripaya murare. Oh my Govinda, Murari, Krishna, whoever you think of, we saw Murasya Harihi, right? One who destroys the ego. Murare, Kripaya, in your grace only, your daya, your Kripaya, your anugraham, your grace only, Pahi, protect me, save me. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare, Shayanam. Iga samsare bahu dustare kripaya pare pahi murare. And that is by Nityanatha. Next one is by Yogananda. Slokam number 22. Ratya charpata virachita kantaha punya vivarjita pantaha yogi yoga niyojita chittaha ramate bala unmattava deva. Ratya charpata virajita kantaha punya vivarjita pantaha yogi yoga niyojita chittaha Ramate balon mattava deva. Bala unmattava deva. Padangal are Ratya, Charpata, Virachita, Kantaha, Punya, Apunya, Vivarjita, Pantaha, Yogi, Yoga, Niyojita, Chittaha, Ramate, Balaha, Unmattava deva. Unmattavat. Bala unmatavat eva. Ratya means road. Okay, path, road you can call it. Charpata virachita kantaha. You understand the meaning. A person, a true yogi, a true sannyasi, who has renounced everything. It talks about that true sannyasi. And the teachings have been on bondage as well as on freedom, right? Look, somebody like you picture Ramana Maharishi or Kanchi Paramacharya or other true renunciants, true sannyasis that you may know in your life or come across. How do they live? They live with the least amount of disturbance to the world around them. Just like the wind does not disturb the world, the sun does not disturb the world, just shine. Like that they are there. They least amount of disturbance. That means what do they take from the world around them in order for them to live? They have to sustain the body. They have to clothe the body. They have to eat. They have to find a place to sleep, right? How do they do it? With the least amount of disturbance. Like whatever food is given to them, they take, and that too only in little quantity. And where do they sleep? Under a tree without disturbing anyone, right? And what do they wear? Very first line talks about the clothing that they wear, how they do it. Whatever has been discarded by others, various rags and pieces of cloth, they stitch it, and then they wear it. It is called Godadi, is a name that in North India they call it, and which is nothing but a shawl that is made up of different pieces of cloth stitched together. And these pieces of cloth have been rejected by others. They've thrown it out. And so they pick it up from the street and just stitch it in order to cover their body. That's all. So absolutely no disturbance on the world, except they give maximum benefit to the world. They take very little, but give maximum benefit to the society and to the world. That is what a true sannyasi lives like. That is why even in stories and all that you read, when rishis went to the forest, what did they have? Nothing. They lived in a small hut, a thatched hut made out of branches of trees and covered with leaves from trees. And what did they carry? They had what we call as a kamandalam, which is just a small pot where they carried water from the river. So very little amount of disturbance on others. Okay. So Rathya means road. Charpata. Charpata, this means pieces of old cloth. That is what charpata means. Virachita means put together, stitched together, joined together. Kantaha means cloth. See, the cloth, the shawl or cloth, whatever you call it, made out of pieces of cloth. Kantaha, made out of charpatam. The made means virachita. This is what they wear. And then what do they do? Punya, apunya, vivarjita, pantaha. Pantaha means also the path. Now, you want to touch the lotus feet and embrace it. You got to take a certain road, a certain pathway. There's only one pathway. Infinite pathways are there, but physically, they're in so many ways. But all of them have one common thing, and the common thing is your punya, apunya, vivarjitaha. That means giving up the distinction, the difference between a merit and a demerit. That does not mean you're doing papam and you're doing punyam. No. When you do all actions fully surrendered to Bhagavan, as he says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyoho Moksham Ishyami Ma Suchaha. What does it mean? That is the final command from Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita. That one command is enough for all of us. So when you surrender everything to me, your doership, the actions you do, and the results, whatever else it is, right? Then what happens? You incur no merit, you incur no sin. That is the stage that we're talking about. That's the sannyasam that we are being taught here. Punya, apunya, vivarjita. You cannot leave them. The sin and merit and all that is something that it's not at your call, beckon and call to decouple from or couple to, right? It has to be done with the right attitude. The moment I start doing all my actions, mat karma krite, mat paramo, mat bhaktaha, mat yaji, like that, then that means is again Bhagavad Gita teaching. What I'll do all actions as my agent. They're all mine. Do them as my agent for my pleasure. When you take that kind of an attitude, that kind of an anubhavam and experience, automatically punya and apunya will do vivarjita. They will leave you. It is that kind of a sannyasi that Yogananda is talking about. Okay, the teaching us. So punya, apunya, vivarjita, pantaha. He is going along this pathway of absolutely always Smaranam, always Bhagavan. Bhaja Govindam is what he is doing. To Bhaja Govindam all the time. Govinda in his mind. and wearing a shawl that is made out of pieces of cloth stitched together, the pieces of cloth being rejected by others, thrown out. So, but he is involved always in Bhagavan. And not only that, the next line talks about it. Yogi, this type of a yogi, yoga niyojita chittaha. The first word yogi means, yogam means experiencing the oneness, the lack of separation with Bhagavan. And the desire to experience that is also a yogi. And the person who's taking sincere, committed efforts with Shraddha and Vinayam to do that is also a yogi. And the person who finally attains that stage is also a yogi. So the first one talks about the person who has embarked on this path, yogi, that yogi who wants to embrace the indweller, who wants to hug him. And see, because you've got to become, before you become one with it, the final layer of separation has to go. You hug it mentally, all through the mind, and then the heart expands. So that person, yogi, yoga niyojita chittaha, and his mind is fully embedded, is full of Bhagavan only, Bhagavan's Swarupam, Bhagavan's Namam, and everything is only Bhagavan. Bhaja Govindam, the Govinda is in his mind, like the way Radha was, that yoga chittaha, niyojita chitta. Niyojita means is become perfect in becoming one, the final stage, right? Yoga chittaha. How will he appear to the rest of the world? Ramate. Remember that Ramati, he is so blissful, so blissful. The bliss is beyond what you can experience in this material world. And not only is so blissful, he is so playful, like a way a child plays. How happy and how blissful the child really is, an infant, if you really look at it. And that is what we all have, but we hid it and we begin to hide it as we grow up. But that is our true nature, to be absolutely blissful, right? And that is how Ramate he is. Balavati eva, as a child, or Unmatavati eva, as a madman, as what we call as a Paityakaran. He may appear like a crazy fellow to the rest of us. But Unmatavati, because he is so engrossed in the bliss of divine, so which is very different from what others experience. So that is how he appears like this kind of a yogi, is what Yogananda teaches us. And this is also taught by Bhagavan also says in response to Arjuna's question, in Bhagavad Gita. Reading the slokam number 22 again. Ratya charpata virachita kantaha punya vivarjita pantaha yogi yoga niyojita chittaha ramate balon mattavate yeva only. Okay. And we'll just read the next slokam and then we'll conclude it. Go through the meaning for that next class. That is 23. Surendra. Okay, Surendra. Kastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janani kame tataha iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram visvam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Kastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janani kome tataha iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram visvam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samasta lokaha sukhino bhavantu. Samasta lokaha sukhino bhavantu. Samasta lokaha sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om.